Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mystery School of Life, where we give you all kinds of answers to life's curious questions. And today we're going to talk about getting abundance through health, money, and any way, shape, or form abundance can come, but getting it from the universe. So, this is the Mystery School of Life. It's your guide to all things of conscious living. And me and Jennifer were just doing healing sessions together and having discussions and remembering past lives in the universe and how things are really supposed to be working. And basically the ultimate conclusion we came to is obviously the greed system is not part of the universe. Everybody knows that this is not how things are supposed to be working. But you don't have to work yourself to the bone or like a slave or be in a job that you hate and misery or striving to be super rich to the point where you don't even enjoy life because you're too busy working and life is just passing you by. And then you wait until you're like 60, 70 years old and oh, maybe now I'll retire and like go see and do something. That's not the way that life is supposed to be. And we both vividly remember this from past lives. So we definitely wanted to have a podcast about it. So I'm going to start with you, Jennifer, because I know you have lots of notes and I just wing things because that's the way that I am. So go ahead and get started on those bullet points.
Yeah, I think this whole talk today is gonna be us winging it. So
Yeah.
we just gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's bring up like the conversation we were having because do you remember when we were talking about all those things of like, I think you had texted me that day, like, am I crazy? Like, am I crazy? Or is this like what is going on here that I feel so strongly about this and I believe so strongly about this, and yet it seems like everything I've been taught, everything in my external circumstances, everything that the world says about, the way life should be, how you should work, the way to be successful, get out there and grind and 10x it and,
Yeah.
girl boss it. And, it just, even like, I'm just coming to my mind now too. Do you remember that phrase, kind of like, I don't know, back in like the 90s, you heard all the time. It's like, you just got to work harder. Like, because pain is weakness leaving your body. Pain is
Yeah.
weakness leaving your body. So like, push yourself to the bone. And when we had this conversation, we both were like, that's
Yeah.
never felt right to me. That's never
No.
felt true. That's always felt so off. And yet, living in this society that really up until recently, when there are so many people now also coming to this conclusion and stepping into ways of living, ways of doing business that um, are more aligned and in flow, and realizing like, oh, you don't have to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week to have more money. You actually need to be in more alignment.
Yeah.
And, entrepreneurs all over the place working 5, 10, 15 hours a week, making literally millions of dollars a year.
Hey, hey, no barking.
Oh, I'm like, what did I say? Um, so we're really coming into this place of shifting our mindset around it, but it's difficult to step out of that programming and that conditioning
Yeah, because
that
that's what we
that
grew up
says,
with. Like you grow up, you get a job, you work your ass off, you get a house, you get a family, you have the babies. Like that's just what you do.
well, and I
And
grew up in a family too that it was like this whole idea of like like of course your worth and your value, and are you a good person if you work hard? And work
yeah,
hard didn't mean, so this is kind of funny. I remember like, and I love my dad to death. He's a good man, but he was talking about somebody and how like they don't really work, and then talking about somebody else about how they're a hard worker.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, this person's a hard worker. They work a blue collar job. So they're a hard
Yeah.
worker. Their 40 hours a week is a hard worker. But the person who only works, who works 40 hours a week at a computer desk, making twice as much money, isn't a hard worker. And then I pointed out to him, I'm like, wait, you always said that this person over here who also has a similar desk job, but it's a blue collar desk job, like a secretary,
Hmm.
not making a lot of money. That's the hard worker. So there was also this mentality of really like you're a good person and you're a hard worker if you're working full time for somebody else making subsistence level wages.
Yeah.
Right? If you were working full time and making $500,000 a year, that's not a hard worker. The hard worker is the one who's barely
Yeah.
making enough to pay their bills. So like stepping out of this, and this is a huge like in my life, this has been a huge uh something that I have just bumped up in against time and time again. Like I'm like, oh, I'll go work out in the yard doing physical labor for 15 hours a day, just falling asleep at night just because I'm so exhausted and it feels good to me. But like, you want me to go work for somebody else behind a desk doing that? Like,
Yeah.
oh, no way. No way.
See, and I have a huge aversion and always have of I don't want to work for somebody else and
Yeah.
make their dreams come true and make their financial success come true. I want to be working for myself. It is my dreams and my financial success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even, I'm like, well, if they paid me like $1 million a year, would I do that? But then it's like, no, because
Still would be happy. Yeah.
all my life energy is still going into creating their dreams. And oh yeah, in my free time, like the six, really, let's be realistic, the 6 hours a day that you'd have for yourself or less, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I want all my
Yeah.
energy
That,
to be
yeah.
going into
Yeah.
creating my life.
I
Yeah.
don't want my life to be an exhaustion. Like I, like and other people know that I work from home and I teach English at while my business is growing, and
Hmm.
that's okay. But I used to go out and go out to work every day, and
Yeah.
I would just come home absolutely exhausted, not want to do anything. I'm being
Yeah.
forced to be around people that I would never choose to hang out with for 9, 10, 12 hours a freaking day. And it was
Yeah.
just exhaustion. And so I started changing my life by saying, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to find a way to work from home. And I did it.
Hmm.
So, that was my first step into getting out of that like mindset and this is just exhausting and I freaking hate it. And it actually I'm a very hard worker and I don't call in sick to work unless of course my face looked like it did a couple few days ago.
You were kind of on your deathbed. I can vouch
Yeah.
for that.
But like I would call in sick to work a lot because I was just emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything just drained and there was
Hmm.
not enough like nothing could propel me to want to go to that place for that day.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
wasn't sick, but I was just I can't. I just can't.
Hmm.
And so like it yeah, after I had that realization, I'm like, no, we need to make a shift here. So the
Hmm.
first shift I made was at least working from home in some way
Yeah.
so that I
Yeah.
didn't have to go through that every day.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with a lot of people actually, of just how they feel like I just had this conversation last week with someone, they were like, I can't even like, I like my job. I like the people I'm working with. I even like what I'm doing, but I can't be there. I cannot get myself to stay there, to want to go there.
Yeah.
And and it's really interesting because I think there is this level of, there's that level of investment, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, this might be paying my bills, but ultimately it's for someone else's dream. So
Yeah.
how do we create businesses, companies, organizations that um, that are the space and the hold that space and hold that, because certainly, like, okay, let's say I have a vision. I can't do it by myself,
Yeah.
right? Like, or I can, but like the vision that I have for what I want to create in the world, like it's going to take other people. I cannot do it by myself.
Yeah.
So, one, it's like having other people that are behind that vision, and then we're actually collaborators. Like, it's not the
Yeah.
Jennifer show. It's not, and I think that there's a lot of that. So many people like, well, I started this business. This is my company. You
Yeah.
have to have buy-in, and
Right.
as souls, right? Like as human beings, as souls, um, like we are meant to create. We are creators, so we want to be creating things in the world. If I'm, you know yeah, this is another conversation is like that I have with people is, like looking at, like, you look at little kids love to play house. Little kids love to play in the dirt and build forts. Like, as a kid, I was always building forts.
Yeah.
Now, do I want to be a home builder? Do I want to work construction? Do I want to? No.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind building forts. That'd be kind of fun. So I still
Yeah.
do that.
I just wanted to
But
be outside.
right, like
Yeah.
the things that kids do, though, like they're mimicking adult jobs. But
Yeah.
then when we get to be an adult, it's like, no, you must go to work, you must show up, you must work these hours, you must, you're working for somebody else, we're going to determine how much you make. And then all of those things that we enjoy doing as children become work, and they become a chore, and they become, misery,
Yeah.
really. And it's, so much of it is just like the environment and um the environment that they're putting people in. Like, I overheard some guys talking. They were like construction guys that work on, like excavators and stuff. And they were just like, we love getting out there and digging the ditches and playing in the dirt. And like, you could see like the little kid in them that just still love playing in the dirt. But
Yeah.
they probably don't love having to get up at 4 in the morning and being hounded by the boss, and
Yeah.
being in this environment, like the bro environment, that's just grinding yourself to the bone, and like
Yeah.
shifting that mentality around, like, we do want to create, we do want to play in the dirt, we do want to build homes, we do
Yeah.
want to cook, we do want to, make the cakes and make the clothes, and even all the things
Yeah.
that we dreamed of as a kid, but to make them play again and to make them
Make them fun.
enjoyable, make them
Yeah.
fun. And it's like shifting this, new ways of doing business and expecting people to work. And if we're an employee, you know, realizing, I guess, that we have a choice in where we work, but it is
Yeah.
hard when it's like, oh, where are the companies out there? Do I start my own?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're the employer, if we're the boss, um, it's shifting, though. It's shifting, right? Because we're
Yeah.
having these conversations, and you're
Yeah.
seeing more and more and more organizations and people saying, like, no, I am going to work for myself or create my own dream. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's um big, huge shifts are gonna happen this year. Like,
yes.
we even have um President Biden's like exit speech where he's literally warning everybody of the oligarch system taking over and causing all these natural disasters and doing all of these things to people. And he's
Unnatural
going back
disasters.
and yeah, and going
Yeah.
back and referencing what Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us about, the military industrial complex and all of these things. So everybody needs to, it's going to be extremely hard with chaos going on around you, but there needs to be those people, like we were having that conversation, like we are the shift in the higher
Mm.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Like we are a part of that consciousness, not that nasty
I
consciousness.
love what you said yesterday. We're going to create our own collective
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, okay. So you just brought up such a good point, and that thinking, and that, And I'm guilty of saying it. You say it of they're planning this, they're doing this, this is coming. Um, you know, AI and just all the things that we ascribe to an outside they,
Yeah.
right? And you and I know have been really excavating our beings around this. And the
Yeah.
notion that I've got this quote from, I've been reading this book from Neville Goddard. So I've got like this whole list of quotes. It's so good. But he says, it is easier to ascribe your feelings to events in the world, right? All these things going on,
Mhm.
than to admit that the conditions of the world reflect your feeling.
Yeah.
However, it is eternally true that the outside, so all these days,
Yep.
mirror the inside. So the wars, so the fires, so the the destruction of the environment, the poisoning of us,
Mhm.
sex trafficking.
Yeah.
It is so hard to when I say this to people, they're like, I'm like, well, what is it in you that sex trafficking is existing in the world? And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it's just so evil, it's so gross. I'm like, well, if it's in your world, it's in your consciousness. Your
Yeah.
consciousness is creating this. And this is like, and you just said too, of like, oh, the chaos and the destruction. And again, like I hear this almost every day from people of, and it doesn't matter where they fall on the spectrum. Like, of course, within Judeo-Christianity, there's the whole belief in the apocalypse and Armageddon, and we've got to go to like total chaos, and then Jesus will come back. But I hear this in the other side of the quote unquote spiritual community as well. Of it's got to get chaotic, it's got to get rough, it's got to get so bad out there. It's going to be so tumultuous. And
But then it's up
where is
to,
this coming from in our consciousness, in
yeah,
our beliefs?
it's
Where is this coming from in our beliefs that
it's
this
part of that
needs
system. It's part
that
of
this
that fear
needs
system.
to happen? Because that's bullshit. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to
It doesn't
happen.
need to happen. And the
It's
more
not.
people that get on board with this newer, higher dimensional
Mhm.
collective consciousness that know that this does not need to be happening. And like, if you're especially like me, where I have contact with universal beings and I know what they want for Earth and I know what they're trying to do, and like I know we don't really get into this on this channel, but I know like the Galactic Federation has literally sent a warning like I'm getting a meeting
Yeah,
thing.
I see that.
Seriously? What the crap? Okay. Well, we're gonna mess around with our wallet while we're um talking, I guess. Anyway, but that whole mentality of they have said like your time is up. So they mean that.
Your time is up. You got 9 minutes and 29 seconds left. Your
Yeah,
time is up.
I know. I'm trying to check out really fast here. I thought I like already had this done.
Your time's up.
I like had to subscribe to a new Zoom channel, you guys, and it's unorganized, so give me 5 seconds.
So
But
just what you were saying about the time being up, but also the message that I keep hearing over and over and over and over and over again is we have a choice. We have a choice how this plays out, and we have a choice which direction we go. Do you
yeah,
want to go the Armageddon route? I don't. That's the thing. It's like, so even in the spiritual community, I hear all these people like, we need this. We need this. What is it in our consciousness that believes that we need pain and suffering in order to change? Because I don't know a whole lot of people in my life that have not been through absolutely horrific things already, right?
right.
Childhood abuse, rape, sexual molestation, just, the darkest of darkest addictions, or, just being at such a low in your life that you contemplate suicide, depression, anxiety, right? Like I don't loss, losing loved ones well before their time. I don't know very many people who have not already experienced these things. So, what is it in our consciousness that believes that we need to continue to experience these things in order to change?
Yeah.
It is a biological fact that people do not learn under stress, that our bodies shrink and contract in trauma, in negativity, our memory shuts down. So where is this coming from in our collective consciousness now that we're playing this out? We're playing out all these wars, all these traumas. This is coming from, this is the hardest thing to really accept but when we do accept it, then we realize like, oh, it's so in our power to shift it. But it's coming
Yeah.
from, all of this is coming from within us and our beliefs and our feelings and our consciousness of the way we think things are, the way we think that things should be. And this is the whole point of our conversation today is to really, encourage people to, list out. I've been doing this really in depth of like listing out all the things in my life that I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Well, where in my consciousness am I creating that? Listing out all the things in the world that I'm like, oh, why is this in my, like, we talk about like all the new development housing that they're doing that just looks like communist barracks. I'm like, why is that in our collective consciousness? Why is that in my
Yeah.
reality? It's not what I want in my world. So just really, really facing and owning that what is in our world is a direct reflection of our consciousness, whether or not we physically, because most of us didn't physically do these things, right?
Right.
But it's in our consciousness that it's playing out in the world.
Yeah. So I'm trying to
Did you
get
get
this. It's,
your time is almost up,
I
Damon?
know, it's being ridiculous. It's like giving me like the most ridiculous things to to check out. Oh my gosh. Okay. If we have to start over, then we have to start over.
Yeah, we'll just like cut it and splice it or something.
Crap.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's up to us to not buy into all of this fear and all of this chaos and start a consciousness of our own. And oh, that's why. Sorry. I just saw what I did. um, and to start a consciousness of our own of like, this isn't reality. Like these higher dimensions and higher um, states of being are reality.
Yeah.
So,
But an important thing to also be aware of is we can't spiritually bypass it, right? We can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to affirm it away. I'm going to love and light it away." There is the necessity and the importance of taking a look at what in our consciousness created that and 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 shifting that. Is it's the phrase, you cannot put new wine into old wineskins, and you cannot take with you, this is a Neville Goddard quote, you cannot take with you into the new consciousness any part of the old man. All of your present beliefs, your fears, and limitations are weights that bind you to your present level of consciousness. And we see this as well of, well, I'll just double down and try harder over here. Or when we're faced with, was it an Einstein quote, that says like, you cannot solve, you know, the current problems with the
mhm.
current mentality, because the current
Yeah,
mentality is what got us here. And
right.
so how do we really shift those beliefs and get to a place of, um, you know, whether it's looking at these, well, I don't even think it's a matter of looking at these problems. I don't think we actually, I mean,
But
that's another message
it's
I'm getting. It's not about like taking all of these things and quote unquote solving the problem, because when
and
our consciousness shifts, the solution works itself out.
And see, in my meditations, I actually go to like these places of power around the world
Mm-hmm.
and um, basically say, like, this is crumbling down. This is not going to happen. You are not going to have power over us any longer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm, I just for some reason, I feel that that's like part of my mission. And like, um, okay, we should be okay now.
Yeah, looks good. We've
Um,
made it. We made it through.
Trying to figure out Zoom while I'm having a conversation. Sorry, folks. It happens. Okay, so we're good. Um, but just knowing that those types of power structures and that greed structure has to topple in some way. It doesn't mean that it has to be like completely destructive to everybody on Earth, but it does have to go away. And so, like in my meditations, sorry, my space heater's getting really like toastified here. Um, in my meditations, I'm like literally like you're crumbling, you're toppling, you're not going to have this power over us anymore to manipulate us. Like the ascension is happening and like pulling in all of those frequencies and vibrations that I can feel from the people all over the world that have a different like perspective and are going on this journey and
Mhm.
know that we can save this planet and we can get rid of these old systems and we can have a better life. And it doesn't
Mhm.
have to result in the entire planet imploding with all of this
Right,
crazy
right,
crap.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I've been shown again over and over is that, um, and in fact, kind of I received this message again last week of, we have all this chaos going on, and and so many of us are, saying like, whoa, like, you know, a lot of people I know their entire lives have been like, no, I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this. I'm here to change this. And we've been working on changing it, only realizing like, wow, that really didn't do anything. But it
Yeah.
is. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
but we're standing here now on this threshold of, I mean, it really is true. I think, when you look at things in the world statistically, we really are on the verge of destroying ourselves, which is, you
Yeah.
know,
I've
it
said it in
can feel.
many podcasts on my own channel. Like the world is at that tipping point,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
you just need to suck it up as a human because we did this.
Yes and no, right? Like, yeah, we are at a tipping point. However, it's like this. It's a choice point, and we can
Right.
choose to continue in the old
Exactly.
ways, in the old mentality, or we can choose to go over here. And what I was shown again last week is that over here, right? This world that so many of us, you talk to every other person that I talk to is like, I just want to farm. I want to grow my own food. I want to, be living in community. I want to,
Yeah.
like so many people that I bump into, like everybody wants this, right?
Yeah.
And maybe not everybody, some people still, anyway, but that this world over here, and it doesn't even matter like what your deep dream desire is, because
Yeah.
we all have them. I think we really do. Like soul felt, not like I want $1 million in a giant ass mansion and I want to drive a Ferrari and have diamond rings. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like our deep soul desires for humanity, for the world, for our life. Over here, like there is a threshold that we go through. And you and I are in the middle of it right now. So many people are in the middle of it right now. And as I was, telling you right before we got on this call, um, that, I kind of had this picture and I was reminded of what I was told like when I was in college of like, oh, there's like this, we're going to go through this funnel of humanity, the world, like just our current levels of just, destroying the environment and consumerism and consumption and, just everything going on. Like we're all going into this funnel and only a few of us are going to come out the other
Yeah.
side because it's this funnel effect,
Yep.
species and humanity and everything. And last week, what I saw was, I was like, oh, it looked like a cauldron of like all this stuff: war, environmental chaos, financial chaos, like greed, all of the atrocities, everything, and all the good too. Everything was going into this cauldron and being purified. It
Yeah.
was being like, it intensified pressure, heat, like everything was being purified, like the process of refining gold and silver, right?
Yeah.
And all the impurities are coming up to the surface, but everything's going in, and then it reached like a flashpoint. It's just like this, just total flashpoint. It was like this alchemical process that it flashed into this light
Yeah.
that became like, that was actually the light of our true essence, our
Yeah.
core being, and the truth of our innocence. And then that was like, that light was over here, what we were all operating from. And I was realizing, like, this isn't even like, it's not a funnel, it's not even a cauldron. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a chalice.
Yeah.
Like, this is the womb. This is the
Yeah.
womb of creation. And so in order to get over here, to leave, to shift, to change all of these beliefs, these thoughts, we go into the dark, we go into the void. And you've been talking about this process, and I've been talking about
Yeah.
this process
Both
of
her and I have been going like into
into
the
the
darkness,
underworld.
into the underworld to clear those things that
Yeah.
need to be cleared and going through those painful processes so
And
that
so,
we can keep ascending and rising.
yeah, so
Yeah.
going into this womb and becoming nothing,
Yeah.
letting go of all my conceptions of myself, all of my beliefs about who I am and the way I think things should be, and even going into the nothingness of, like, not even having a an idea about the way that I want things to be or I think things should go. Like, oh, here's the problem. Here's what I think the solution is. Putting this all in this cauldron and becoming nothing and just
Yeah.
sitting with the dark, sitting in
Yeah.
the dark, sitting with the nothingness until that flashpoint.
Yeah. And
Until
then you start
then,
to see visions of things coming
and
and
it
presenting
arises,
themselves to you.
yeah, it
And
arises
yeah.
from deep within you. It's not coming from your mind.
Yeah.
It's coming from someplace deep within you, that core of truth.
Yeah.
And so over here, it's like, the message I got was like, yes, we need to go to this place, because if we're trying to solve all these problems in the way that we're thinking now, we're just going to keep creating more.
Yeah.
Going into this nothingness, but then as we are stepping into, it's not even stepping into, it's like creating the actual world the way that we know we want it, and it deep within, the
Yeah.
way that we deeply know, like, it's oh my gosh, I just totally lost my train of thought
Yeah.
again.
Like
um
I don't believe in I'm not a Christian. I know that the Bible has been altered gazillions of times by
mhm,
men to serve their own purposes, and so these poor people's actual histories and stories have been butchered to death. But that saying that the meek shall inherit the earth,
mhm,
I really do truly believe that, because we are not supposed to be functioning in this greed system where a few people have a ton of everything and everybody else is in a suffering state. That
right,
is not the way that the universe works. There is plenty of abundance to be spread around and to come from the universe. And so her and I have been making, like, whether you want to call it a manifest list or like, this is the way my life's going to be. and I go into meditation. I haven't done it today because I've just been working since 2 in the morning, but I will later. Um, of picturing myself in that place. Like the universe is going to provide me with an abundance of money, with success in my businesses, with healing people and helping people and continuing to do the work on the earth that I'm supposed to be doing and not having my energy wasted on these things that it has been wasted on.
Mhm.
And like, that I've literally cleansed everybody pretty much out of my life, with like the exception of you and my second mom, because my mom's not with me anymore. I cleansed everybody out, everybody. And it was a very painful thing to do, but I knew I had to do it because those people no longer served me. It's like they're going this way and I'm going this way, and it's just not conducive to what
Mhm.
I need in my life.
Mhm.
So you have to be willing to put yourself through those painful situations in order to get clarity, in order to heal, in order to get to where you want to go in life. It just has to happen. And so, like, I'm a really strong empath. And so, pain affects me in like tremendous ways, depending on the amount of pain. Like, I've actually left my body and been declared dead because I was in so much pain.
Mhm.
So, but I'm also a fighter, and I decided I'm not going to let this rule my life and take over my life and live my life in this like past trauma and pain and the things that people have done to me, and like and in the system
Mhm.
that we're in, where like you get up and you go to work for somebody and waste your day away and you're not even happy at it, and it's like, nope. Like on my list of things that I made, I'm like, I go in and I literally astro project myself there. Like that is my life, and that is the way I'm living, and that
Mhm.
is what is happening, and I see myself there fully.
Mhm.
And I actually, like, through this process, I moved into a new, like of course I look the same, but I've moved into a new avatar type bio body, and I had
Mhm.
to fight to get there because that old one was no longer serving me, because my energy is constantly being upgraded with these higher dimensions, and that old body was stuck in those things. And so
Mhm.
I had to find a way to make that shift. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of things that people need to do in their healing process that are very painful, but you have to go there if you want to get out of a situation or boost your abundance and have the life that you want. You can't stay in that negative headspace because it's always going to keep you in that same place.
Yeah. And you know that that pain is it's not that it has to be painful. It is sometimes uncomfortable and
Yeah,
intense. Like uncomfortable and intense is the word I would use, even though, yes, I've experienced it as well as like, oh my God, like the darkest pain.
yeah,
But it is that it's there is an intensity to it, but the more that we can surrender and trust the process,
yeah,
then it's, and again, like this analogy, I keep getting this analogy as well of birth. We are going through a death and a rebirth, right?
yeah,
We're going through a rebirth. And again, that consciousness of, you and I were told our entire lives, and the majority of women, that that birth is the most excruciatingly painful thing that a human being can go through. That is a construct.
yeah,
That is a belief system. And because
yeah,
we have been fed that lie for, literally thousands of years, we believe it. And so
Yeah.
then birth is painful. That's not true. I
Yeah.
mean, it's true if we believe it's true. And this is the issue is that it's true if we believe it's true.
Yeah.
And there are so many women now who have experienced birth as being absolutely orgasmic, like the biggest orgasm that you can have.
Yeah. Like
And I
I've
know a lot of women who have gone through
yeah.
painful births who'll be like, "What are no."
Yeah. I of
To
course don't.
accept that it was your belief
Yeah.
that made it that painful. Wow, what kind of amazing power do you have in your consciousness? So this process that we are going through could be excruciatingly painful. Like all the Christians that want to believe in Armageddon, thank God for the kink community that is working out all of our notions of dom and sub and punishment
Yeah.
for the collective, because those Christians are like hell bent that we need to go through some big huge BDSM experience in order to come to Christ.
Yeah.
But
And
that's a
it's not
belief.
even, yeah,
It could
that's
be orgasmic. This whole process could actually be utterly the biggest orgasm that we have ever experienced as humanity. Should
yeah.
we surrender to it and believe that? That's
Yeah.
what I'm going for. Like
Yeah.
one big giant
And
orgasm.
that's that's what we both keep getting told in our meditations within the universe and going out there and doing this process with ourselves is like trust the process, trust
Yep.
that you're safe, trust
Yep.
that you're protected, let the fear go. And
Regardless of what you see
yeah,
going on around you.
yeah.
Yep.
And it's funny that we in our conversation the other day that we both, like, I always equated it to like if you've ever seen the Harry Potter movies where Harry kills part of Voldemort and he's like this shriveled thing like underneath the bench, like just
Mhm.
this creature like looking thing that's dying. And that's what I felt like. And I had to confront that and get rid of that. And it was, I can't even put it into words like that whole experience, but like you were describing kind of the same thing, like
Mhm.
this shriveled up thing that's afraid and fear and dying. And but I also knew that I had to let myself die in order to live.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I let myself die so that I
Yes.
can continue to live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And as far as like manifesting and whatever words that people put out there all the time, and of course in people's podcasts and their reels on social media and whatever and whatevs, they make it sound so easy manifesting. Like it's not that easy. You're still getting out of a certain headspace and a certain thinking that you've had for most of your life that you need to transition out of. But you can trust the universe and that the universe has a ton of abundance for you and they want you to have it because that helps raise everybody else up as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you just have to literally picture yourself. What do you want in your life? And see yourself there and be that person in your head, even if it's not happening right that second. Like I love a quote from Stevie Nicks, like Stevie Nicks, love her. But she was telling about when she was a young girl in LA and she had just gotten together with Lindsey Buckingham. If you guys don't know who that is and don't know who Fleetwood Mac is, shame on you, but whatever. But she's like he was like constantly working on music and I was like slaving away in these restaurants like trying to keep us afloat. But she's like I literally was just walking around LA with my guitar like in my mind knowing that I'm the biggest rock star on the planet. And she's like, that was my mindset, even though I was, slinging plates at the diner at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And so
Mm-hmm.
she already had that in her head. That's
Mm-hmm.
who she really was. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to find who you really are, and you have to let your mind stay in that place as hard as it is sometimes, e- even if it's not happening right now, because whatever you project out there and whatever you say, the universe hears that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to go into a negative space, the universe hears that. If you're going to stay in this, I am an all powerful female, I have all the money in the world to change the world, to conquer the world, to conquer the things I want to do, to make the life that I want to live, like all on my own. And I'm going to have a love in my life that is my equal partner, and this whatever the things that it is that you want that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't involve anybody else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the practice of constantly putting that in your head and feeling that every day. It's like, okay, this might be going on still right now for a moment, but I am that. I am
Mm-hmm.
that. And
And I
so,
want to, oh, go ahead.
and time is not like past, present, future. Time is interflowing and intermingling. Your future has already happened. Like, people need to understand that about time, about quantum jumping, and all of these things. And so that's how you change into that person, because your future has already happened, but you can change your future. It's not set in stone. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to reset your mind and your thinking about who are you and what do I want and what can I be and what can I offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would really want to reiterate the fact again of there's like little self desires and egoic desires and old mindset desires.
Hmm.
And right now, in this conjunction point that we're in, it is so important to be getting still and be getting quiet and to stop
Yeah.
the doing and to listen to like how the universe really wants to flow and create through you. And that will
Yeah.
come through desires,
Yes.
right? But these will be different than what you've desired, possibly
Yeah.
different than what you've desired in the past.
Yeah.
Or, actually, it might even go back to like you knew it as a child.
Yeah.
You knew it as a child that you wanted to be, whatever. And then it was covered up, and now I want to be a doctor to make lots of money, and an accountant to make lots of money, and a stockbroker to make lots of money, and whatever.
Hmm.
Um, or anyway, I'm not gonna go there. But it's so important to really to go into that space of stillness and deep listening as we move forward. And then yeah, like picking up my train of thought from before, focusing all your attention on on that. What does
Yeah.
it feel like?
Yeah.
And then moving when you get into that space of feeling it, you become it. When you get into this space of receiving those imprints of vision, your subconscious will create it, right? You will just naturally move in that direction. But rather than focusing another ounce of energy on all of this chaos,
Hmm.
right, that's happening in the world and maybe even in your life, because, again, like I don't know anyone whose life isn't in chaos right now either.
Yeah.
Um, Rather than focusing another ounce of energy on that, because that's not getting us anywhere,
Yeah.
it's putting all of our energy, all of our focus over here where we want to be going.
Mhm.
And this, like you were saying, this will all just actually crumble away on its own. We
Yeah.
don't need to even worry about it.
Right.
And it's not, this is really important. It's not escapism.
No.
If you're doing it to escape, if you're like over here running away because you're scared, because you don't want to look at it, because you're afraid it will happen to you,
Yeah.
then actually it's going to chase you, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like this intentional, like I am going to create what I am meant to create here in the world,
Yeah.
that's going to solve all this problem.
Yeah.
This focus is the last ditch effort.
Yeah.
It's not escapism, it's not
Yeah.
putting your head in the sand, it's not ignoring it, it's not pretending it's not there, because there is a level of acknowledgement, of like acknowledging, oh, something in my consciousness
Mhm.
has created all this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take full responsibility for it by looking at that and changing my consciousness to shift over here.
Yeah.
And 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 then doing that
Yeah.
is the last ditch effort, and we're at that point, right?
Yeah.
So whatever, if you already know what that big soul dream is, stop looking at back here, stop worrying about how you're going to pay your bills, and put all your energy into that big soul dream. If you
Yeah.
don't know what that big soul dream is, but you just know you're miserable, get into that place of stillness
Yeah.
and deeply listen. Come home from work, take care of the kids, go to bed early, and turn everything off and meditate. Go out in
Yeah.
nature, even better. Go
Yeah.
out in nature and listen. And this is another really important message that keeps coming through, is that, the entire universe right now, literally, whether it is the tree in your backyard, the flowers that are growing in your yard, the patch of dandelions that are on the road on your way to work, the mountains, like the earth, everything in it and everything in the entire universe right now is longing and desiring to co-create with us,
Yes.
and our necessity. So as human beings, for so long we've had this mindset and this consciousness that's part of it, this consciousness that we are separate from nature,
That we're
that we are
better than
separate,
everything else and higher
yeah,
than everything else. Yeah.
or that we're not, right?
Or we're
That
not.
we're weak and
Yeah.
powerless, that we're separate from God, that we're separate from the universe, that we're separate from everything.
Yeah.
And just the complete opposite is true. And
Yeah.
the earth has answers. The earth has the answers for how to heal the earth.
Yeah.
We don't need to come up with the answers. We don't
No.
need, Elon Musk's giant ass quantum computer to solve the world's problems. The earth has the solutions for the
Yes.
issues that are going on if we would just listen.
Yes.
And the universe has the solutions for probably the biggest problems that's going on within us,
Yeah.
if we would just get still and listen. And all of creation is waiting for us to co-create with it.
Yeah.
If we keep trying to do it on our own, if we keep trying to do it separate from, if we keep trying to do it with our own ideas, we're just going to keep creating this chaos and this
Yeah.
problem that we have out in the world right now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, get still, listen,
Yeah.
and get into collaboration with what life is wanting to create with you and through you. And yeah, sometimes it feels like death, like this death of the old identities, like, oh my gosh, I gotta, but it's not like I have to give this up. So we've talked about this before. I grew up in Christianity, and so much of that mindset was like, you have to sacrifice. And we're talking about the death of the old man,
Mhm.
but it's actually so that the truer you can live. And
Yeah.
life is not going to take away anything from you that isn't for your highest good. And
Yeah.
this is a hard, painful lesson. It's been so painful for me, right? Of like realizing, like, oh yeah, that thing that I clung to so strongly because I was told I should want it, because I bought into that, was actually not for my highest good. And when I let that go, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So that is the thing, is like, if life is removing things from your life, from your world, whether it's people or a house or a job or a relationship or even a dream,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Even a dream, if that is being removed from your life, it is actually so that you can step into a truer version of yourself that is going to fulfill an even deeper
Yeah.
heart
And
desire, and
it's
like
just like
trusting that
trusting
process.
and just like you were saying about like the Elon Musks and the people, once you start to go into this, it's like, yes, I can picture myself and I'm going there in my head
Mhm,
and I am there,
mhm,
but the universe is going to tell me how to get there.
mhm,
I cannot be a dictator of the situation.
mhm,
And letting go of control has been a big part of my life's journey
mhm.
just because of whatever circumstances I've been put through or
Human
whatever. Like,
nature with
yeah.
all,
And so
yeah.
letting go of that control and just trusting in the process and putting out there to the universe, this is who I am and this is where I need to go. Please show me the way to get
Mhm,
there.
mhm,
And like when we talk about abundance, like you need to wish for abundance of your health and abundance for like I have animal babies for their health, for your children's health,
mhm,
and also abundance of money that you can take care of yourself. And the universe definitely does not work on this. I am super rich and I'm going to go spend $7,000 on a freaking purse and have 20 freaking different cars and massive houses. And it's like, how much crap can I freaking buy? Like, that is the complete opposite of how the universe works.
mhm,
So when you're asking for abundance and you're asking for abundance of money, like one of the things that I wrote down on my list is I am rich, but I will be rich to the point of it's rich enough for me to the point where I can take care of myself, but I can also give back to other people to help them.
mhm.
It's not about how much crap you can buy and how much you can show off and that system that we live in and that mentality of well you don't live in a mansion and you don't have this and you don't have that so you're a nothing and it's like that's just not the way the universe works.
Well, and it's again like shifting consciousness because there is such a consciousness around that, money is evil or wealth is evil or wealthy people, are don't really care. Um, Again, it's a consciousness, and it entirely depends on your motivation. If my motivation for having wealth is because of fear of poverty, fear of lack, if my motivation for having anything, and I am guilty of this all the time in other ways, but if my motivation for having anything is to fill the void, fill the void, fill the void, fill the void, which is so much of what, when it's like, oh, I need a $20,000 purse to make me feel good. I need something outside of myself to make me feel good, something outside of myself to make me feel secure, something outside of myself to make me feel important, worthy, powerful, right? That is externalizing, what we would call like a false god or an idol or worshiping an idol, right? You're looking for something outside of yourself to fill the void. And true wealth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you mentioned, true wealth is wellness. I was,
Yeah.
I've been playing around with the etymology of the word wealth. It comes from well, WEAL, well, which is also where we get our words WEL, like I'm well, I'm whole, I'm healthy. Healthy and wealth are, kind of the same root, but also healthy. And so wealth, well, like well-being, healthy, whole,
Mm-hmm.
understanding that I am whole, to be sitting there stripped down naked with nothing and I am whole.
Yeah.
Also holy. Those wealth and holy of the
Yeah.
same, wealth and holy, the same.
Yeah.
But it's that wealth of understanding that I have everything within me. The word wealth actually, what is it? It's like the expression of my desire. The expression of my desire. So when I had the expression of my desire, understanding that I'm whole. When I understand that I'm whole, I need very little. But to have resources and influence to make a difference in the world, that's true wealth. And that
Yeah.
might be a large bank account. That might also, you and I have talked about this so many times of like realizing that we can sit on that mountaintop and change the world just by meditating.
Yeah.
That's power.
Yeah.
That's true power,
Yeah.
that I don't need guns and armies and, the biggest bank account and the fastest computer and, you know, the
Yeah.
ability to blow up the world with something external. Again,
Yeah.
that I can change everything. I have it within me. And that's been a huge, I'm still really grappling, like that mindset of understanding that it all comes from within me. There's nothing external that I need that if I don't have it outside of my life that I am lacking. It just
Mhm.
all starts within me. Even
Yeah.
God, right?
Yeah.
Even that notion of God is not external to me. That is within me.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
just having our conversations over the last few days, like we both said, it's like we know that this is the way it's really truly supposed to be because
Mm-hmm.
we've lived these other lives throughout the universe and we know this is how it works. Like
Yeah.
we can create life in many different ways. We can communicate telekinesisly. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have all of the psychic gifts that you could ever imagine. We have the power to create anything. Like I created a new body avatar for myself
Yeah.
because I knew I
Yeah.
needed to shift into it. Like you can literally create anything into being. So whether that's negative or positive,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't understand that concept and they need to understand that concept.
Well, and that's talking about like the big AI computers, artificial intelligence. I like, like then there's natural intelligence, like,
Yeah.
but everything, you look at again, like all of our modern technology, like cell phones, we have the ability through telepathy. Even my friend, she's like, I was telling her, like, it is so important that we, like when I have attained something energetically, now I'm a transmitter for
Yeah.
that. And I was telling her, I'm like, look, you have knowledge and gifts that I don't have. I have knowledge and gifts that you don't have. We need to be like transmitting these to each other
Mhm.
so that we can just for our benefit. It's just like
Yeah.
Bluetooth, like Bluetooth. I'm like, yes, exactly. Just like
Yeah.
Bluetooth, like we're little transmitters, like Bluetooth.
Yeah.
And this is, these again, like these are just physics. This is physics, right? We're
Yeah.
not talking about woo woo spirituality stuff. We're actually talking about physics. Um, and oh, like frequency machines too. Like for a long time, I'm like, oh, I really want one of these, like person, like oh God, what's anyway, like a frequency device, like a Rife machine or, all of these things. And I'm like, wait a second, that's us again.
Yeah.
Like all of these things, it's within us. Or like, do I need like I have a friend she's going to like this big fancy, like they got like the LED, like the fancy red lights and the frequencies and all of this stuff. And I'm like,
I've been to one of
light
those.
a fire,
Yeah.
light a with a beeswax candle, go stare at the candle, light a fire, go stand in front of the fire, go stand out in the sun, go hug a tree, go, sit under a waterfall or near a waterfall, go listen to a bird, go have a cat sit on you or near you, go put your feet on the earth. Those are all free, minus the cat. But like those are all free. Those are all nature's frequency devices. Hum, like you've got it all in you and all around you, and it's free.
Yeah.
We don't need big fancy computers and big fancy biofeedback, thousands of dollars for this machine. Like
I
it's
actually went
all
to one of
within
those
us.
places with Merle, you know Merle, but
Yeah.
I could not stay in that room with those flashing lights and the computers and the things, and I felt
Yeah.
completely unnatural. I was like, get me out of here. I
Hmm.
could not stay in there. It was very uncomfortable for me. I'd rather just literally go outside and
Hmm.
be with nature.
It's more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it's free.
yeah.
So,
And I mean, there are programs like I have a 5-step program that I have developed that starts with me reading your Akashic records so that I know your story, and then going through like intense Reiki sessions so that I can read your entire body down through your cellular level, and then going through quantum meditations. And like, it's this step program for people that need help getting there, but everything that I'm doing is natural.
yeah.
Nothing is like computerized. I don't have people put on like those virtual reality, whatever things, like none of that.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you feel like you need to get healing and you need to find a healer, like, there are great healers out there everywhere that can powerfully heal you on an energetic level, but you have to be willing to let it happen.
Hmm.
So it's like I can peel a person's mind and soul and everything clear down like an onion down to the cellular level and read them. But if they don't want that to happen, I'm not getting in.
Yeah.
So, like, get definitely like seek out the things that, when you meditate and when you're quiet and you're listening and the universe is telling you, you know, get this done or go see this person or whatever it is, you need to be listening to those things because they're trying to help you get out of a stuck spot to
Hmm.
get to the next level. So, and we all need that help. Like, we have healing sessions together all
Yeah.
the time to keep ourselves like going.
See
And
those blind spots.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the more, like, one of the things that I wrote on my list is people will be coming into my life that are a great benefit to my life, and you have been one of them. So that's the start of that process. And like, you just need to put those intentions out there instead of trying to control the situation.
Yeah.
Like, set your intention, and this is who I am, but I need help with this. Like, I constantly go in and ask for DNA adjustments with my body to keep up with the amount of the way my energy is growing, because this these 3D bodies on Earth are not really like capable of keeping up with this compared to like lives that I've lived in the universe where that body is perfectly capable of keeping up with a very large, powerful energy. So I
But we're heading that
constantly,
way. We're heading there.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
are like, don't affirm that.
Well, no, that's why I'm saying, like, I call on them and say, I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm out of whack. I need you
Yeah.
guys to get down here and do some adjustments on me so that my body can keep up with what's going on.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
like,
otherwise you wouldn't be here
yeah,
if it wasn't. Yeah.
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 So that's just another thing. And like, all you guys just need to understand that there is abundance in the universe that wants to be given to you. You just have to ask for it. You just have to
Yeah.
reach for it. And it has nothing to do with the way that the greed system works on earth. You will
Yeah.
still get money. You will still have abundance of health, abundance of knowledge, abundance of your powers. Of course, you can always take that in a negative direction, and then, things aren't going to go so good for you. But like, the universe wants to give you that abundance.
Yeah.
So you just have to ask for it, and you have to put your head in, this is who I am and this is what I can do. And figure it out if you haven't figured it out yet. And sometimes people have to get their Akashic records read to figure out what their actual mission is on this earth. And then as soon as I tell it to them, it's like king. It's like like it's like they knew it was inside them the whole time, but they weren't having the like actual recognition of it. And so then as soon as they heard it, it's like, oh, exactly. That's exactly who I am. That's exactly what I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
So everybody has a a job to do, for lack of a better word, because we're not talking about not working yourself to death.
Dharma. We
But
have Dharma.
yeah, so everybody has a part to play in this system and getting the earth back to a harmonious state and getting us out of this crazy crazy situation that the earth has been in for centuries and centuries and centuries.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's all about power and it's all about greed. And so those things need to be gotten rid of. And the more people that raise your vibration and go out there and work on the earth and do the things that you're supposed to be doing for the earth, like it's not loud. Like greed and power is very loud and in your face. And the work that we're doing is not loud. It's very soft, it's very gentle, it's very caressing, it's very loving. So it's not screaming in your face that it's happening, but it's happening.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I would make one little adjustment there too, that power is not a negative thing. It's how we
No,
use
it's
power.
how you
And
perceive it, what's going
and
on. Yeah.
and ultimately when we see examples of egregious misuse of power, I would actually argue that the root of that is a deep seated feeling of fear and powerlessness.
Yeah.
Because if I feel powerful, I don't need to control someone else. I don't
Yeah.
need to, I know that I can attain what I desire if I know that I have the power to it. It's when I feel powerless
Yeah.
and in fear of an outcome that I try to control and have
Yeah.
power over. And so really what we are stepping into is it's not it's stepping away from power over, which we have seen over and over, and just like tyrannical dictator. It's going on,
Yeah.
everywhere right now still, and in relationships too, right? Not just on
Yeah.
a collective level, but look at all the ways that in personal relationships that we vie for power
Yeah.
or to get the love that we want, to get the
Yeah.
security that we want, right? I mean, it shows up in all kinds of ways. But
Like,
we're moving from
well,
that power
yeah.
over to power with, and actually, we are as humanity stepping into our true power, not
Yeah.
giving power away to somebody to say, well, my doctor told me I need it, or, the government's going to take care of it, or my pastor told me I should, or, well, my husband said,
Yeah.
or, and I don't mean that like in a, there's mutual respect in relationship too, but, all the ways that we differ, they made me
Yeah.
these circumstances. And so that's why I feel
Yeah.
um, we're stepping into our true, and this is really the gist of our entire conversation today, is understanding the power that we hold within us,
Yeah.
that we are the ones that are creating these realities that are
Yeah.
showing up in our world, even collectively, right? Like
Yeah.
I've never been involved in sex trafficking, and yet that's in my world. So what is that representing in me? How am I creating that in my consciousness? And wrapping my little brain around, my little mind around, like, well, where am I not um, fully aligned and expressing, sacred sexuality?
Yeah.
right? Or owning that the power of eros in my life. Where am I suppressing that? Where am I misusing that? Um, or disrespecting life, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not to, like there's this idea, I think a lot, and it's a lot of where the idea of the that it needs to get bad, that somebody needs to be punished, is this deep-seated notion of us of like, we deserve it, we need to be punished, or someone else needs to be punished for
Yeah.
what we feel. That's why they need to suffer in order to, you know, so Jesus can come
Yeah.
back, right? Like, um, just so bizarre to me. But
Yeah.
but
That's
there is
definitely
this
not
this
true.
idea in us of like, we deserve to be punished, or we are not worthy or deserving of 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 joy, of good things. And that's, again, I think, where that, greed comes from, this separation, this notion that, one, that we're separate
Yeah.
from life, from the earth, or from another human being, that what I do and how I live affects everyone and everything around me.
Yeah.
So getting back into, I don't know, there's just so much to unpack here. But
Yeah. Like
yeah, but I think we are
collective,
stepping into our true power,
yeah.
is really what we're doing. Is
And
is
collective consciousness is a huge thing. So
But we're
like
gonna create our own collective
exactly. But like
consciousness.
there's people out there that I have not even met personally, but I know I'm a part of their collective consciousness because I know the work that they're doing
Yeah,
and I can
yeah,
feel it. So I'm a
yeah,
part of that. So even though they don't even know I exist, I'm still a part of that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you have to just, yeah, we're creating our own collective consciousness. And like I said to you the other day, I'm like, I don't care if the whole world is burning around. Well, I mean, I care, obviously, but that came
I
out
care.
wrong.
That's why I'm going to focus
Yeah.
all of my attention.
But I'm like, I'm just going to keep walking my path and being who I am and doing my thing. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm
Yeah,
not going to focus on like all of the negative. Like, I pay attention to what's going on in the world because that's important. But I don't look at social media on a constant basis. And honestly, the only reason I have it is because I have a business and I need to let people know about that business. If I did not have a business, I would not have social media. I don't watch the news.
yeah.
I just pick up bits and pieces here and there when I'm like waiting for classes to start or if I see something on social media. But I also, if I'm getting any kind of news, I don't just focus on the news that is coming out of the United States. I go to other countries and see what they're saying on their news. What is what's their take on it?
Hmm.
Because our news is manipulated. It's
All the news is manipulated,
yeah,
though, even those other
yeah.
countries.
So it's
Yeah,
like and because I'm such a historian, like I want the bigger picture. I don't want to
yeah.
just hear what Anderson Cooper has to say on CNN. I want to know what's going on Al Jazeera TV. What are they saying in Korea about this? What are they saying in China about this? Like I want to get like all of these perspectives to put it in like a good context. And I
It's
don't
important
it's
to have all
like
those
the news
perspectives,
is fear. The news is fear. It creates fear.
but all over the world. And that's, all of the media outlets are
Yeah.
paid programming.
Yeah.
All of them, all over the world. So it's good to have that perspective. That's one thing I do like about social media, is that then you get the personal perspective. You're getting these like eyes on the ground. What are the regular people
Yeah.
actually going through and experiencing? That's what I appreciate about social media,
Yeah.
because all of the news outlets are bought and sold,
Yeah.
and programming us, and to stir up division,
Yep.
which is the greed, to
Yep.
stir up fear, which is the feeling of powerlessness or being out of control.
Yeah.
um it's perception, and perspective is everything, and when I hear of stuff going on, and again, same as you, like I don't watch the news. I get snippets here and there, or I hear it in the ethers. But what I do is I go within and I listen to that inner discernment, and I get my perspective tends to be very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Than the majority of people who watch the news and are so educated on these things, because I listen to that discernment and see through, like, mm, actually, like, this is all staged, or this is it's so much of everything that we see going on in the world right now is manipulated.
Yeah.
And again, like, it's manipulated, but two, it's also showing us something about our collective consciousness.
Yeah.
So
And that's the consciousness that
yeah,
you and I are like, we're not part of that. Like, we're over here making
yeah,
other consciousness
yeah,
and helping people heal and get to that other consciousness where they're not stuck in that
yeah, yeah,
nastiness.
yeah. But
So,
it's so important to get quiet and listen,
yeah.
especially, in the any time, but in these times that we are going through, because the house is burning down. Maybe, life is like you need to grab a bucket of water, but maybe life is like grab your most, important, what is most important and valuable to you, and get the heck out, and I got something better for you.
Yeah.
So it's so important to listen to that direction, and we all have, you said it, like, we all have a different role, a different perspective, a different part, a different song to sing. I love that.
Yeah.
And we all have a different song to sing here. So, some are, you know, like, some are scouts out there, some are trailblazers forging new trails, some are builders, some are, like, we all have a different part to play in
Yeah.
in the shaping of this. But it's so important that we all get quiet and listen, and set aside all of our old notions of what we think should happen, the
Yeah.
way we think it should happen, and really listen to that inner voice. You talk a lot about, the work you do with Akashic records. Some of the work that I do is, it's a process called soul-based coaching, and it is a container, to be guided into, hearing those deeper messages of your soul. And I absolutely love this modality. It's what I've been immersing myself in a lot, because the messages that are arising from within me, I know, like, it is coming from somewhere. It is not coming from my head. It is not coming from, these are the 5 things you need to be working on and doing, and hustling and 10xing it, right? Or
Yeah.
that logical of, like, oh, here's the problem, so logically you need to da, 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 da. It's
Yeah.
like when I get, go into this process, and I have someone that I'm working with, um, a coach. She's great. But when I go into that process and, asking these questions of, like, this is where I said, I got this message that came through last week. I was asking, like, for 2025, like, what does my soul have to tell me about 2025, about this new year? And it's such a beautiful process to listen to that deeper part of yourself and have it, and then it, because it's coming from within, when you see it, um, then there is also something in you that just automatically starts creating it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to come up with a 10-step plan. You don't, all of your, daily to-dos. It's just like you start to become it. And that's what we've been
Yeah.
talking about, as well as, like, going into that no thingness, and then a vision, or actually more likely a feeling, starts to arise.
Yeah.
And as you begin to feel that vision, you feel that new self, or, different version of yourself, you feel that different version of your life, then it just naturally starts to flow out of
Yeah.
you. So So if anyone's interested in that process as well, you and I both have like great things to offer,
Yeah,
soul-based coaching and Akashic records and all kinds of
yeah,
ways to delve
yeah.
into these ideas that we're talking about today and be held in a loving
Yeah.
container going
Jennifer
through it.
and I are both very powerful healers. So you can reach out to us anytime. I can do remote viewing. I astral project everywhere. It can also be done live. Like we're getting people together just on a free basis just to come to meditation sessions, just to have clearing sessions and feel, get some clarity and take that quiet time. So we're getting those organized. So, like, any questions that anybody ever has, don't be afraid to reach out to the email that I put in the description and ask those questions because we'll get back to you with those with the answers. And so, like, there's always resources out there to help you. You need to find the people in your life that are supposed to be in your life that are there to help you instead of bring you down, which I understand that's easier said than done in a lot of situations. I've been in abusive relationships. I know how that goes. Um, but try to find the positive in everything. That helps a lot instead of focusing on the negative. And especially, like, not only is California all on fire right now, literally the entire world is on freaking fire right now. I just posted a map on my Instagram of every place on the world that's on fire. Like all of, like, massive parts of Africa, Australia, the Asias, like Europe, America, South America, like fires, 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 fires. And like obviously these are being started by man. This is not global warming, or maybe some of them have been started by lightning or something, but not all of them. But try to stay in the positive even when you're going through something very, very tragic, because one, it will help you heal faster. It will help you get the answers to how to repair the situation faster. So, I used to work in healthcare, and I always told that to patients that were in the hospital, especially like cancer patients and, you know, people that have gone through really painful surgeries. And I'm like, the more positive that you stay and the more that you keep telling yourself, I'm getting out of this, my body is fighting back, my body is a fighter, like, boom, boom, like, keep fighting, the faster you're going to heal instead of going into a negative headspace. So I feel incredibly bad for everybody that's being affected by all of this that's going on in the world. And it's just like, I'm going to cry just thinking about it because my empath ass always cries over everything. But um, it's a very horrendous thing and it's a very scary thing. And I feel very bad for all of those people that have been displaced. But there are people out there that are willing to help you and take you in and help you with your animals. And there is a solution. You just have to quiet your mind to find that solution instead of
Mhm.
living in the panic of the moment, which is really hard. It's really hard.
I want to add to that because it is important for us to not turn away from the grief.
Yeah. No, like
But
let
as
yourself
human
feel. You got to let yourself
beings,
feel, but like,
turn off, and I'm not directing this to you, turn off the news. As human beings, it is so far beyond our nervous system capacity. We are not meant to be bombarded with the heavy doses of fear
yeah,
that the media throws at us,
yeah,
worrying, thinking that we need to feel bad or afraid because of all the things going on all over the world. And I'm not saying it's not that we don't, because we, you know, uh, don't put your head in the sand, because we are all connected.
Yeah.
But it is really important to stay in your lane,
Yeah.
to stay focused on what is put in front of you. There's enough grief in your own community. There's enough grief in your own life, probably.
Yeah.
And I'm not, again, I'm not saying this to avoid. If you get woken up in the night, in the middle of the night, and you are called to do something, you do something. If you're called to
Yeah.
send money, or, I know a lot of people that they're like, oh my God, I need to go there. Like with the hurricanes and some of the natural disasters in our country, where
Yeah.
you are called to be mobilized to go help because you're in a position to do so.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do those things. Absolutely. Absolutely. But for the majority of the time, all of this bombardment is to stir up fear
Yeah.
in us. And the more
Yeah.
we are in a state of fear, the more these things are actually going to continue to
Yeah.
happen. So it is like, what is in me? What is
Yeah.
in me? What is in me?
And it's
What is my responsibility? What is it in me to own? Are you concerned about global warming? Then how are you living in your life? Where are you
yeah.
disconnected from the earth?
Yeah.
And again, like, yes, we have all been so brainwashed our entire for thousands of years, really. But my personal in my life around, when I buy that shirt that was made in a sweatshop in China, or when I'm shopping at Walmart with, you know, going and getting the mass produced chemical laden thing, yes, that is my buy-in to these things.
Yeah.
And so there is a solution, there is a way out.
Yeah.
And like last night I had people over for dinner, and I go to this farm to get milk, and it's like an hour away. And so we have this co-op. There's a group of us that, we all take turns driving out there every week, but I still got to go. We have a pickup point here in town. I still got to go pick it up. So like here I am, like in the middle of this dinner with my friends, and I'm like, sorry guys, I got to go get my milk.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Like, yeah, it's a big, that is an inconvenience in a way, but it's also a commitment I am making to, for my health, to be supporting, local food production, local economy. And so, yeah, there are shifts in our life that we all will be making for these things. And
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's a joy,
Yeah.
right? I don't mind, because the payoff, in a way, right? The payoff's so good. So it's like, stay in your own lane. If you were just to focus on your life and what, working through your issues, working through the unresolved, unfelt, untapped into grief or anger or rage or sense of abandonment, or anger towards your mother or your father or God or whatever. If you were just to work on yourself and focus on what you are then inspired to be focusing on in life,
Yeah.
all of
It'll
these things
it'll
will
come.
start working themselves
Yeah.
out.
It'll just
And
come.
so it will
Yeah.
come. And yeah, I think understanding that, really seeing these things on such a global level, is almost a ploy to keep us in that state of worked up
Yeah.
fear.
And
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 um
now is like now is the time for people to create that collective consciousness of
yeah,
love for each other, and we're going to help each other through this terrible situation, and we're going to be there for each other, and we're just putting love out there instead of
yeah,
fear.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
very, very important with everything that's going on.
But like, again, like, there's plenty to do in your own
Yeah.
town, in your own neighborhood, down the street, probably within, like, right now within my own friend circle, right?
Yeah.
Like, of just like, we focus on that, then the ripple out effect is, it ripples out all around the world. And what we're seeing now is like the conscious outbursts of fear, destruction, separation, powerlessness, grief, and it's
Yeah.
all stemming from within. And yes, my heart goes out. Absolutely. I'm not not being
Yeah.
calloused here, but also understanding what that the media what that is serving and where these things are really stemming from. So,
Yeah.
like I ask myself, okay, what in me needs to be burned away? What in me needs to be purified, right?
Yeah.
If that's what's happening.
Yeah.
um, I when COVID broke out, I was like, oh, lungs, that's grief. What's our collective grief? What's the grief that we are not tapping into, that we
Yeah.
have not expressed? Or, people are dying of sepsis. So I'm like, well, what's the shit that we're putting up with or not dealing with that we need to
Yeah.
deal with, right? So even looking at
Yeah.
those things from that
There's even
from
a,
that
I
perspective.
don't know if she would even answer me back because, I'm just a regular person on the earth, but there's a celebrity named Wendy Williams, and it just keeps coming to me that I need to reach out to her because she's was like a radio host, and then she had like a talk show, but she was in this horrible relationship with her husband, and the trauma from the situation has pretty much left her immobile and in pain all the time, like kind of like fibromyalgic type things and inflammatory responses. And now she's like riding around on a scooter, and I can see the fear in her eyes, and and everything in me is telling me to reach out to her. So I'm just gonna have to do it. And if she doesn't respond, she doesn't respond. But I can see why that is happening to her, and I know that I can help her.
Right. So that's your to do. That's
Yeah,
your directive in, right.
yeah,
And again, when we get quiet and we listen, then we get those sparks that, but we don't need to have our feelers out feeling into
yeah.
every
It just
every
comes.
atrocity that's happening because,
Yeah,
you know,
you're not.
I,
You can't possibly solve everything in the world. Like, no, nobody can do that. So, like, when you're quiet and you have love and respect for yourself, and you know who you are, and you're continuing to work on yourself and work on your own life and bringing those beautiful, joyous prosperities and all of those things to your own life, the things that you're called to do and to help just come to you.
yeah,
So, like, that's just one of the weird things that have been coming up in my head, and I'm just gonna have to do it and
yeah,
see what happens.
yeah,
So, yeah, but
yeah. And it's, it doesn't even need to be it might not even be a big thing. I remember, the whole time I was um, raising my kids, I was a stay-at-home mom and I homeschooled. And, so often I felt really bad or, maybe like, oh, I should be doing something else. I should be doing something else to help the world, like different calling. And, so often, I just kept hearing of like, you're doing like the most important thing that you can be doing to change the world, right? Is to raise healthy individuals.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, whether my kids might disagree
yeah,
how I did on that, but so don't discredit these small acts and the significant. It might be like, hey, go bring a pot of soup to the little lady down the street, or go,
yeah,
shovel somebody's driveway. Stay in your lane. Stay in
yeah,
your lane, because
yeah,
that is how you change the world. Is
yeah.
the thing that you've been called to do, and
Everybody
it
has
might
their
be,
superpower. Like,
you know,
stay with your superpowers. Yeah,
caring for your children, caring for your pets, like how you tend a garden, or, it doesn't necessarily mean like, I'm going to start this $1 million company with thousands and thousands of followers.
yeah,
Right. So,
yeah.
yeah,
So, guess the grand message here, everybody, is get quiet, start to listen,
yeah,
and start to envision what you want for your life, and tell that to the universe and tell, like, ask for the path of how to get there and just keep
Mm-hmm.
meditating. Meditation is so important. It's so vitally important
Mm-hmm.
because it quiets your mind. And you can meditate in a lot of different ways. Like, we go out to nature. Sometimes I just lay in my bed and put frequencies on and just like zone out everything and go somewhere else. Sometimes I pick up a canvas and start painting something or
Mm-hmm.
drawing a picture. There are tons of ways for you to meditate.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important that you learn to quiet your mind and
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
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 And the universe will provide you with abundance, and you do not need to work your ass off like a freaking slave for somebody else to get it, to get abundance of money. You can tell the universe, I want abundance of money. How can I get there? Being who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And the answers will be provided to you.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So let's keep
Yeah.
raising the
And sometimes
consciousness.
that fun answer is, oh, feeling safe and stable within yourself,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, because
Yeah.
if I need a big bank account so I feel secure, well, the big bank account's gone, then do I still feel secure?
Yeah.
So, yes, I wanna throw out there too. Again, obviously like and subscribe, but also check out our accounts as we will be posting events. We have, like Raven mentioned, healer circles, and that are, if you come and pray and meditate and be within a collective in this state
Yep.
of deep listening and
Yeah.
being held in that container of going into the nothingness
Yep.
so that we can do some deep listening. Um, we both have our own individual offerings that we provide, as well as some group events. So just
Yeah.
continue to check on that as we will be posting those things.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
this is a new YouTube channel for podcasts, you guys. So please like and subscribe because it's very important. Share with your friends if you enjoy the messages. It's very important because we want to reach as many people as we can, because the people that need to hear these messages, we want the messages to get to them.
they
So
will.
I'm not,
They
yeah,
will.
like I'm not asking people to like and subscribe so I can have a gajillion followers and feel like the big wig on YouTube. It's literally, we want the people to get the messages that need to get the messages. So share, talk about, share with your friends, like and subscribe as always. And I will put the email link in the description for this podcast so that if anybody has any questions, you guys can just reach out to us. One of us will answer you back. And yeah, just keep in the positive. Let's keep a different consciousness, collective consciousness going that is separate from all of this chaos, and we will get through this as a universal being, as humanity, as a part of the universe. We will get through all of this. So,
Yeah, that's again, if you look at the media, it looks pretty grim, and there's a lot of doomsdayers out there.
yeah.
But again, in the deep listening, that is, what I keep sensing is like, oh, it might feel intense,
Mhm.
but that it's like the intensity of birth, and it can be the intensity of excruciating pain or the intensity of, unbelievable orgasmic state as we're birthing something new. And
Yeah.
it is that deep, there's a deep knowing, like we do get through this and we thrive. Like we are
Yeah.
moving into our sovereignty. We are moving into thriving as as a humanity on earth, with earth,
Yeah.
in connection to life. We're moving into a state of beautiful communion. That's
Yeah.
and so and it's not just like, oh, it's out there. It starts right now. You
Yep.
can start, you can be
Right
in
now.
that state, in that place right now,
Yeah.
today. Every day when you wake up, you just continue to put yourself in that and create that and live that.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. It doesn't happen by turning around looking at where we've been.
Yeah.
There's an honoring of it. Absolutely. There's a learning from it. There's an honoring of it. There's an integrating and alchemizing it. But really, it's it starts right now. We're
Yeah.
here, we're there, we are there.
Yeah.
Just
We are there.
keep going and
Yeah.
shifting your thinking and your
Yeah.
consciousness, because that's what
Yeah.
dissolves all of this. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So love and peace out there to everybody,
Mm.
and keep spreading love and peace around the world, please, everybody. That's about the last I have to say for our podcast today. But thank everybody for watching and listening, and
Mhm.
we will be back with some more topics on another day, of course. But
Mhm.
pretty much signing off for today.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to say goodbye to you all for today, but we will be back very, very soon.